billion acquisition of rival Sprint, saying it'll mean higher prices for consumers, will stifle competition, and hurt workers. Video game publisher Activision Blizzard announcing as many as 800 job cuts late today. But earlier, the Labor Department reported U.S. job openings shot to a record high in December, 7.3 million. And on Wall Street, add in optimism about a tentative deal to fund the government and avert another shutdown, and the Dow shot up 372 points. The Nasdaq today up 106. After lowering prices when it bought the chain 2 years ago, Amazon now hiking prices on hundreds of items at Whole Foods. And the national debt has hit a new milestone. It topped $22 trillion. The nation's total outstanding public debt up by over $2 trillion since President Trump took office. Tom Busby, CNBC.
24/7, 365. You're up and at 'em every day, so you don't want something like Medicare Part D to slow you down. At Walgreens, we'll take care of your Medicare Part D prescriptions, saving you time and money. Make the switch to Walgreens today and get more by earning 100 balance reward points and save up to $5 on each Medicare Part D prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Prescription savings applies to Tier 1 generics when you fill at a preferred versus a non-preferred pharmacy on select plans. Points can't be earned in New York, New Jersey, or Arkansas. Other restrictions and limitations apply.
Indeed knows it's hard to find qualified candidates when you're hiring.
It's like finding a unicorn.
But when you post your job on Indeed, it's easy to find people with the skills you need.
Nurse practitioner, 4+ years experience, acute care certification.
Indeed has a huge pool of amazing candidates and screener tools that help you find your most qualified applicants.
Whoa, an entire short list of unicorns.
Now, get a $50 credit to give your first job posting premium placement at Indeed.com/credit. Terms, conditions, quality standards, and usage limits apply. Additional terms online.
California headline news. Governor Gavin Newsom delivered his first State of the State address earlier today. While the overall state of California is strong, he acknowledged there are issues that need to be addressed.
There are problems that have been deferred too long and that threaten to put the California dream out of reach for too many. Look, we face coming due, and the choices we make will shape our future and the future, quite literally, of millions for decades to come.
Newsom announced he's abandoning a plan to build a high-speed rail line between LA and San Francisco. 2 people have been reportedly arrested in connection with the disappearance of a missing Moreno Valley teenager. Booking information from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department shows 2 men have been arrested on suspicion of murder. 16-year-old Aranda Briones has been missing for nearly a month. An investigation continues into who left a newborn baby on a street in Madera County. A newspaper carrier discovered the baby.
She was discovered early enough that she'll make a full recovery.
That's Madera County Undersheriff Tyson Pogue. Steve Clausen, California News.
I'm a real person, real voice, and a real face. Even though you can't see it because, radio invisibility. You know what else is super duper real? Geico Local Offices. A Geico Local agent could tailor-fit a policy to you, which could save you hundreds on your car insurance. All because Geico Local agents keep it real, with real savings and real service. Really.
And if you're looking for more ways to save, your local Geico agent could help with your homeowner's, condo, and renter's insurance too. Stop by or give them a call today.
I never chose to become a gambling addict, but what I did choose was to get help from a professional counselor. Admitting I was powerless to solve my problem, that opened the doors. I thought I was beyond repair until I called 1-800-GAMBLER and was provided life-changing resources and referrals at zero cost to me.
For no-cost gambling addiction counseling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text SUPPORT to 53342. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
It's time to say see you later, alligator, to embarrassing and troublesome issues with your skin, nails, and hair with all-natural Cayman alligator oil. Cayman oil is locally made, right in Louisiana, where people have been using alligator oil for centuries to treat all kinds of ailments. A drop a day of Cayman oil can help you say, see you later, alligator, to athlete's foot, nail fungus, acne, eczema, rashes, dry skin, cuts, infections, MRSA, scars, burns, sunburns, and even ingrown hair and dandruff. If you or someone you know is tired of suffering with any of these skin, nail, and hair troubles, you need to visit mycayman.com to learn more about 100% natural, non-toxic, hypoallergenic Cayman oil and get a bottle today. Say see you later, alligator, with Cayman alligator oil at mycayman.com. That's mycayman.com. mycayman.com.
I'm finally getting my abs back thanks to TC1 Gel. I gained some inches around the belly last year, and the holidays didn't help either. But then I discovered TC1 Gel, and now 2019 is the year of my abs returning. TC1 Gel is a thermogenic gel that you rub on your waist 15 minutes before exercising. Then simply put on the TC1 sweat belt and start your workout. You'll sweat like crazy and feel the burn. It focuses on boosting circulation, increasing perspiration, activates body heat, reduces muscle fatigue, and burns off more calories. Get your TC1 Gel now. Go to tc1gel.com and use the code RADIO30 for a 30% discount on this amazing product. Again, RADIO30 is a code for 30% off the regular low price of TC1 Gel. You can also go to www.tc followed by the numeral 1 gel.com. That's TC number 1 gel.com. TC1gel.com. Get rid of a few inches and get your abs back with TC1 Gel. Also, follow them on Instagram, handle TC1Gel.
Talk 102.3 FM Riverside. Thank you, America, for making us radio's number one format for 8 years. Talk 102.3 FM Riverside. KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Right before me, my newfound hippie side. Once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart. Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Would your children lie to see Mother Nature sigh?
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Welcome, everyone. This is Elaine McFadden here at Smart Health Talk and KCAA Radio. And we just want to welcome you to our show. And we got a doozy planned for you today, so please don't touch that dial and stay with us. I know that our guest today is I just was like so impressed with every single thing that they offer product-wise, that I just really wanted to have him on the show because, you know, I'm looking out for trying to find things that will fit into your life, that are convenient, and offer the best nutrition that you can get out of every single calorie, because all of us are fighting those pounds. And they're so easy to put on. And so you want to make sure that you have the most concentrated, high-quality nutrition for every single calorie that you're eating, and you want to get it for a good deal as well. Of course, you're always looking on how you can afford the best quality. And, you know, you'd be amazed when you start eating really good quality foods, you just don't get as hungry. And people wonder why they're hungry all the time. Well, when the food that you're eating is pretty much dead and devoid of nutrition, your body starts screaming, hey, I'm sorry, but I didn't get enough nutrition. I still need more food. Well, that's why when you eat complete foods that have a wide variety of nutrients, that's what you want. And you want to get your protein. And we're trying to encourage people to choose at least one vegan meal or / vegetarian meal per week. And just think if everyone just switched from one meat meal to one vegan or vegetarian meal per week, how big that would be. these factory farms need to stop. And I have been doing research, and just a reason to want to go vegan, but organic vegan, because conventional vegan, full of GMOs, would never recommend it. But these factory farms, I was doing research today on how much glyphosate Roundup residue is allowed in products. And when you look at the list, I mean, most of the foods are like less than 1. So like 0 point something amount of residue parts per million allowed on the food, the actual, like a carrot or, you know, a piece of broccoli or something. But what animal feed? Animal feed was like at 400. And then the next lowest one was 200 parts per million, and that was like forage foods. In other words, more animal food. So they allow all this highly concentrated pesticides in the food that they feed the animals. Yeah. So, if you go to my Instagram, I posted a picture of Cinnamon, the cow that has been feeding the most incredible grass-fed raw milk to my family for the past 2 years. That's literally changed my life. And I tell you, it does work on belly fat when you start drinking that. But I just can't even drink that ultra-high temperature pasteurized milk anymore. And unfortunately, most milk, even the organic brands, if it's not raw, it's ultra-high pasteurized, which means it is brought to a really high temperature for a short period, but it changes. It kills certain things, denatures protein. And if you're not sure what denaturing protein means, just think of when you cook an egg, because it starts as a liquid and it turns to a solid. Well, that means that the protein that was all like twisted up and tangled up is now been untangled and it's perfectly straight. So you change the actual structure of that. And that's why the raw egg is actually the most perfect for our body. And the raw egg offers the most nutrition. But most raw eggs you have to be afraid of because they're raised in a factory farm setting, and the salmonella is just like embedded inside those warehouses that they keep all these chickens. There's no getting away from it. But I don't buy those. I buy the organic ones, and I buy from my local farmer. We got a couple of dozen at the farmer's market last week. Green and blue eggs, right from the farmer, fresh. These chickens go outside. They peck at the dirt. They make vitamin D because they're in the sun. And so those eggs have more vitamin D in them. And you need vitamin D. We're not getting enough vitamin D. So that's why I'm trying to encourage you to, first of all, buy organic, buy local, go to your farmer's market, buy farmer direct. You can buy meat. I get most of my meat right from my local farmer. He raises everything. And I get my eggs, my milk, my produce. I'm telling you, you can get honey, just so many different things, even already made items. You can get that too. I've gotten cheese, some like really good candies. But you can get bread, just so many great things at the farmer's market. And if you go to eatlocalgrown.com and type your zip in, all the local farmers that can even deliver to your home, our work or wherever you want them to deliver, fresh produce, you can get it from the farmer's market. I mean, there's lots of options out there. You don't have to go to the grocery store and just take what they're giving you. I mean, I don't have time today, but trust me, what they do, I mean, there's even something called bacteriophages. And these are bacteria that they say help preserve meat. And they're actually spraying these bacteriophages on the outside of the meat. You know, people think meat that is like nice and red and pink, that's the good one. if they see that it's oxidized and turned brown, it's not as attractive to the customer. These bacteriophages actually keep it looking nice and red, but really it should be brown. So it kind of tricks you. And I don't know. I've spent hours researching the bacteriophages because I wanted to know what to tell you, if they're good or bad. And from what I've read, I'm really not getting a clear picture, because to me they seem like they've been genetically engineered to replicate something that they found in the environment. And more I've read, the latest research came out because these GMOs are based on an equivalent to the real thing. And we're finding with new technology, because they didn't really test this stuff. You know, Monsanto isn't out there just testing it. And we're saying, oh yeah, that's just the same as the real thing that wasn't genetically modified. It's all the same, just the same. Well, no, 2 little atoms different, and you change that protein. And it's not the same protein that we evolved thousands of years eating. It's something that's introduced, it's man-made, and our bodies don't know what it is, and we have an allergic reaction. Just like when we eat a denatured protein, we have an allergic reaction. So that's why some people are very allergic to eggs, but I don't know if it's just raw eggs or cooked eggs. I don't know, but you do change the form of the protein. We don't want to have allergic reactions. We don't want inflammation, because that causes so many problems. So we want foods that work with our bodies, that nourish our bodies, that aren't causing these reactions, that aren't full of foreign proteins, that are not full of poisons. And when you look at organic food, you're getting like 99% less pesticides. When I looked at the comparison of glyphosate residues in different products, over and over again, the organic had like none detected, or a little tiny bit, compared to, like, let's say oatmeal. One would be 400 parts per million, or even more than that. And then the organic, there was like none detected, or if they ever found it, it'd be like 30. So that's a huge difference in the pesticide load that you're putting inside your body. What do you think happens when you eat poison? You think your body's welcoming it with open arms? Oh yeah, give me some more of that. It's just what I need. No. And children, their bodies are so tiny that pesticide does like way more damage in their bodies than an adult body. And they only test, supposedly just, determine if it's safe. That's for a 180-pound male. They never test for what's safe in children or what's safe in women. So more and more we know that they lie. Okay, all these people are lying. I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? And the truth is, you don't want to put that stuff in your body. All right? You deserve the best. Once you realize that you deserve the best, and this other stuff doesn't even measure up, that's when you start making the effort. You do the extra steps, whatever it takes, to make sure your body gets the very best. And when we bring on Sprout Living today, this is an example of the kind of products that are the very best. And I want you to be sure and stay and get to know Marcus and hear what they're doing at this company, because they make some incredible protein powders. These protein powders that you're getting in the store, especially those muscle building ones, those amino acids, those are all synthetically made. You'd be surprised what they can make out of oil even. I'm telling you, they come from GMO bacteria. They make all this stuff. Comes from GMO sources. These products that we're going to be talking about today actually come from organic plants. They're super high in protein Forget the Ensure. Forget the Slim Fast. We're going to talk about what's actually in those products compared to these other products. And you're going to spend all this money on something that costs pennies to make. Pennies. Because it's crap food. They make huge profit margins off you when you buy that product. They're like, yeah, buy another one. That's a good 95% profit there. Because the stuff's so cheap. And really, it's not helping you. It's a negative, okay? We're talking about the kind of foods that nourish your body, that give you life, that help repair your body. So instead of getting older and having to actually, the inside of your body is the same age as the outside of your body, you could actually get older, but the inside of your body be younger. Doesn't that sound like a good concept? Wouldn't you okay, hey, yeah, maybe I'm 50, but inside I'm 35. Yeah. That's what I want. I tell you, man, I don't want to be a 60 and inside I'm 70. I mean, who wants that? So what we teach you here at Smart Health Talk is how to achieve that. And I'm telling you, number one, get away from those pesticides, get away from those GMOs, and start going organic. And you think you can't afford that? I'm telling you, yes, you can. First of all, start buying farmer direct, cut out all those extra added retail costs, and then buy in season when you buy produce. Buy things that are on sale. If you use them a lot, then buy a bunch of it and stock up on it. It's worth it. I was stocked up on, because there's things like caramel corn and candied pecans and things like that I like to make that requires corn syrup. And I posted on Instagram a picture of, at Stater Brothers, the product that I paid $2.99 at Trader Joe's cost $6.99 at Stater Brothers. That's $4 difference. That makes me mad, because Stater Brothers was the last store to integrate organic onto the store shelf. They kept organic in a dark corner with a sign, specialty foods. And so if you wanted organic pasta, you had to go look at the organic over there, and you couldn't compare against another conventional product, because many times the organic could be the same price as the conventional. And so people aren't looking at it on the shelf together, and they can't go, oh, look, that organic is just the same price as the conventional. Maybe I'll get the organic and 99% less pesticides for my family. And of course, the taste is usually richer. I don't care, these people that, oh yeah, it's not any different. Oh yes, it is. Okay, I used to sell produce for 5 years. I've been eating organic for 40. I'll tell you, it's worth it. I mean, you like good food, you get good food, especially when you buy it right from the farmer. What pisses me off about that too is that people that just shop at that one Stater Brothers and no other place are looking at those prices, because they offer hardly any organic deals in the whole store. They're looking at those prices and thinking, oh yeah, that organic is more expensive. No, I can't afford organic. And it just feeds that whole myth that people cannot afford organic when you can. But I'm telling you, you're not going to find it at Stater Brothers. They may have one organic special there, but it's not in their heart to promote organic food. So that's why, Clark's Nutrition, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, and go online and check out what their ads are before you go to the store. Even if you didn't get the ad in the mail, you can find their weekly ads right on their website. You just type in your zip code and, you can get your ad. Or just your computer will know your location and it'll pull the right ad up. And check the ad or grab the ad when you come into the store if they have it up front, and see what the specials are. Something like chicken broth that I use a lot of is on special. I'm going to buy a bunch of it because I know I'm going to use it. I'll buy like 10 of those at one time because we will use it. We have a big freezer on the patio that we buy, you know, from the local farmer. We'll go down and he'll have chickens, and we buy like 8 chickens at one time. So you start saving your money, but then I've mentioned on the show many times that with that one chicken, I can make many, many meals. And then I boil the bones and make bone broth, probably about $12 worth, which is close to the cost of the chicken, just in bone broth, which costs $5 a Tetra Pak for the organic bone broth. And I can make it from my chicken bones. Everyone just saves their chicken bones, and we throw it in the pot and boil it for, 6-7 hours. So I think we kill everything. But this is the reasons why you want to have these foods. Do we have Marcus? Is he ready? Oh, okay. I want to get over to our guest. I'm going to pull up my... Oh, shoot. Okay. They have the protein powders that I was talking about, but they have many other products as well. And we're going to get into that and the benefits of these products because they're convenient. They're going to give you the protein that you're looking for. They're vegan, they're organic, and they're the highest quality. And we're going to teach you about the difference between these products and other products that you're probably spending with your money. We want you to get the best value for that dollar. We don't want you going and spending $5 and then what you get from that is like half of what you'd get from a different product, that the quality is so much different. And I tell you, some of these products are really not that great, but they sure make you think that they are. And you're getting tricked when you buy them. So what I want is for you to know what is the good bargain. Okay, well, let's go ahead and welcome our guests. And I'm sorry, Marcus, I don't have I was trying to pull up your email so that I could get your last name and introduce you properly, but oh wait, here we go. Mark Malinsky, did I get it right? Hey, you look good with a beard. I like the beard. I'm sorry, I've always been very fond of beards. If you knew my history with men, you would know I do like beards, okay? So I just want to welcome to the show, Mark. Do you go by Mark or Marcus?
I go by Mark.
Mark, okay. Welcome so much to the show, and I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself and just kind of give us a little bit of a history of how you got Sprout Living started and what was the motivation, and then we're going to get into exactly what you guys got to offer.
Great. Yeah, I'm Mark Malinsky. I'm a founder of Sprout Living. Basically, the whole idea at the beginning was to make products on the market, to make products that were on the market better. And I think you talked about that a little bit. There are a lot of products on the market. We kind of call them, in a lot of cases, fake healthy, where they've gone maybe 80%, and then I think those last 20% is I think where we kind of fit in. And yeah, it's just a lifestyle, a vegetarian, vegan lifestyle that's kind of turned into a business, really just to make products that I felt comfortable eating, sharing with my friends and family. And it so happened to be that kind of like a whole market emerged from what we kind of already believed in early on.
And what were you thinking when you looked at other products that you were seeing that were out there already? Did you feel that there was a limited choice, especially in the vegan category, for a good quality protein source?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a combination of, I think at the time there weren't that many options, but all of them had things in common that we knew that when we were going to make our product we didn't want to use, and so that was kind of like the big driving factor. Now you obviously can find a lot of plant protein on the market, but still, like, it seems like everyone is still doing it kind of the same way, and I think we're one of very few companies that are really trying to do it differently, and we can talk about like some of those specifics.
Right, because I'm looking through what you have here, and I see that you have like both vegetable powders that are. It says pure sprout vegetable. You have like broccoli and kale, red clover and daikon radish, and omega gather. Now, okay, now that's a new word for me. And when I went, and this is what really blew me away, is when I went to your organic plant proteins. Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was the simple protein. And I saw watermelon seed. And I was like, whoa, man. So when I just ate all those watermelon seeds, I was like actually getting protein, or do you have to like grind them up? Most of the time we don't chew the watermelon seeds enough to get the nutrition from them.
Yeah, well, so yeah, watermelon seeds are naturally high in protein and nutrients. What we do though actually is we cold press the oil out. So that's kind of like our form of concentrating the protein.
Oh,
so you still, and what's really nice is we do the same thing with like our pumpkin protein and our sunflower protein. We're taking about 90% of the oil out, so there's still about 10% left, and that's really important because you still get a lot of nutrients and healthy fats from that. And then for like the watermelon seed protein, which I think a lot of people might be surprised by, it's actually like 65% protein. So for every 100 grams that you eat, you'll have 65 grams of protein.
Well, as a dietitian, I'm like, where did I not learn this? Okay.
Yes,
I had absolutely no clue.
Yeah, seeds are generally pretty high in protein. Like sunflower, pumpkin, hemp, obviously, I think a lot of people know. Watermelon is something newer, but it's great because it's good to get a variety. So like we have these simple proteins, and those are single ingredient protein powders that you can combine. You can add to smoothies, you can add to your like to foods, even sprinkle on salads. There's a lot of applications, but the idea is that you're kind of cycling through protein, so you're not always getting the same source every day.
Yeah, and I'm a big supporter of that. A long time ago, I had someone tell me that it was better to have small amounts of a variety of things than to have large amounts of a few. And so even if you have like small amounts of different things, like so you have one thing one day and one thing the next day, that is better than to like necessarily just eat the same thing over and over again. Although I have heard that people have lived for a really long time just ate like oatmeal every day and miso soup and green tea or something, and they live to be 100 because they eat a simple diet, which Dr. Katz wrote a whole book about. But I happen to believe that variety is the spice of life, and you don't want to get bored with things either, because when people get bored, they tend to kind of go off the rails. And, that's a reason to go binge on junk or something like that, because they're like, oh, well, I'm not feeling satisfied. Right. But when you have the different choices, and there's so many different varieties like this, like I don't know how many other people really have this sunflower seed protein. I haven't really seen that much pumpkin seed protein either. I've seen a lot of pea protein. And actually, I had pea soup today.
Yeah, pea protein is popular, and pea protein is a really great source of protein, especially when you're talking about like plant-based. But yeah, the pumpkin, what we really like about those is kind of that it's more of, it's not just a protein. It's kind of like it's a complete nutrition. So you get, like I mentioned, you get vitamins and minerals, and then you get the healthy fats that I think is missing in a lot of like pure protein isolates. And so that's, I think, really important. I think the body, like the closer to like the whole form that it is, I think the better the body recognizes it and helps metabolize the protein, and the vitamins help metabolize the minerals, and it kind of all works together. So when you get really, really specific and you start to really isolate everything out, I think your body starts to have, like, I think it has to start pulling from what you already have, and so then I think it causes an imbalance. So we try to provide products in like their most whole form.
Thank you, Mark. I so agree with you on that, because people, like, we were taught during the, this crazy time, like, oh, fats are evil kind of a thing. No, they're called essential fatty acids for a reason. They're essential, and they're part of every single cell in our body. And plus, they help us feel satisfied. Fats are really important. And like you said, those other isolates that I mentioned earlier are made of synthetic amino acids. They actually have bacteria that can make all this stuff, or they grow like a fungus on GMO corn medium, or they feed these bacteria like nutrient broth that comes from GMO corn sugar.
Sure.
So, you know, how they're getting these protein sources is through like a multiple step process. You're getting it directly right from the food.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I think it's good that there's science is kind of meeting nutrition, but at the same time, I feel like in a lot of these cases, like specifically like you just mentioned, when there's a lot of synthetics in the market, I think that's kind of where science, I don't know, it doesn't belong there. So like we use kind of like the science of nutrition, but I think then when it comes to actual ingredients, we like that's where we kind of draw the line, and we want to match certain nutritional profiles and like, you know, research that's done through science, but like with whole food approach. And you know, like, and our belief is also like flavoring is a good example. Like, so when we talk about flavoring a product, like any one of our Epic proteins, like our approach to flavoring is completely function driven, and we try to achieve flavor entirely from food. You'll find that a lot of companies will kind of hide behind labels like natural flavoring, and really like the truth of that is that, for example, like a natural vanilla flavor, maybe a natural chocolate flavor, don't actually have any chocolate, don't actually have any vanilla.
Fooled you. You know, they put, I have found so many products that put all these pictures of like fruits and vegetables on the package, and you look at the ingredients and they're not even in the product. And yet there was a Snapple one time that it had 5 pictures of fruit on the front, and when I looked, it had like 2 of them in there. I mean, you know, I was like, what? This is like such a lie. And and then I just wanted to share with you too that when I was doing my diet as a registered dietitian, you have to do internships in the hospital. And I'll never forget, because they give all these patients Ensure, which, you know, everything I learned as a dietitian, like I think someone actually recreated Ensure as a project, which is nothing but, you know, the cheapest protein source that you can possibly find, the synthetic protein, the cellulose, which is like just some sort of an empty kind of a fiber product that you don't even know where that cellulose, it could have came from lots of different places. And then the vitamins that they put in there, they're, again, synthetic forms, usually of folate, a folic acid instead of the actual folate, which actually is toxic in your liver. It's a negative. Your body has to try to break it down, and it can't. And folate is so important. And so to recreate that, it's like pennies for those chemicals. And like you said, the natural flavor, that can actually be a list of chemicals that you've never even heard of that they use to make artificial flavor. It could be 50 different chemicals that are hiding behind that artificial, those 2 words, artificial or natural flavor, artificial flavor.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear, like, strawberry flavor comes to mind. I was really surprised to hear that a strawberry flavor can have 20 ingredients in it, and actually none of them are strawberry. And so our approach is, if we were to, you know, like with our chocolate maca product of Epic or vanilla lucuma, we'll use real vanilla bean, we'll use real cinnamon, we'll use real ginger. And I think like what's being missed here a lot is that a vanilla flavor doesn't have vanilla. Okay, but the truth is that vanilla actually has benefits. Cinnamon has benefits. So like if you can, it's like we kind of see this as like, this is like an amazing shortcut. Like we can give somebody the benefit of cinnamon and ginger, and then we can also create a flavor. So it's like we're kind of doing 2 things at once, whereas like a lot of companies will just have a very similar base, and then they'll just change the flavoring. For us, it's kind of like it's a very different approach, And I think it's an approach that like you would definitely feel, but I think even more so like you can really taste it. Like when you try a lot of protein powders on the market, they'll have like a very similar almost kind of like lab made flavor. For us, it almost tastes like it's homemade, and it's not. We obviously don't make it at home, but the idea is that these are ingredients that you would find in your home, and that's kind of like a real.
But
big
it's
difference.
concentrated. Like what you've done is like it's concentrated. Because I was talking earlier in the show about. Especially when you get to be my age, as you get older, you can't eat as much food without gaining weight. Your metabolism slows down, and your hormones desert you. So you're like, you gain weight easier, and so you really, and plus you have your body, is really pretty needy. It's not as efficient at anything anymore. But concentrated food, every single calorie, you want to get the most out of every single calorie when it comes to nutrition, because you only get so many. So you want to choose foods that are concentrated with nutrition. So you're getting more nutrition bang for your buck for every calorie that you're eating. And I feel like you said, you have the essential fatty acids, you have the protein, you have everything how it was in the food. You're not trying to just take a piece of it. And actually there was a study done, a French study, and they found that people that were eating more beta carotene, like they would get from your pumpkin seed, because that's what I love, is like your pumpkin seed protein, it has beta carotene in it as well. Well, I would think it would, but I don't know, maybe that's just the pumpkin, it's not in the seed, but the moral of the story was they gave people a supplement of beta carotene, and those that got the supplement actually had higher rates of cancer than the people that were not taking the supplement. And the moral of the story is it was the carrot. It wasn't some isolated form of beta carotene. It was because there's something synergistic in the carrot. Like you said, there's all these different things that work together in unison, and because one's there, the other works better, and the other is a helper to the other nutrition. And when we start thinking that we can just take one piece of something and super concentrate it, when that's not the way you find it in nature whatsoever, then your body isn't made to process, that much concentration.
Yeah, I think the concentrated stuff, the ones that we're talking about, I think they have like a short-term effect, and like they could help in a short term, but I think in the long run, essentially, it's like you're robbing your body of other minerals and vitamins that would naturally be found in that isolate. So like the vitamin C, like whatever else usually comes with what vitamin C is with when it's in nature. It's actually, when it's not, it's robbing your body to get that just so that it can metabolize it. So I think over time it does essentially rob your body.
Yes, I do too. I agree with that. And these proteins are just exactly how they're found in nature. They haven't been, the form has not been changed, and so these are like completely compatible. And I think some of our listeners may not be aware of some of the ingredients that you use. Like you mentioned, you use real vanilla, but you have one of your proteins is vanilla. How do you say that? Lucuma?
I say lucuma. I think probably a lot of people might say lucuma.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fruit from South America, and it's amazing. It's a perfect example of something that has an incredible flavor and it has incredible nutrition, and it's like that's what we look for when we see something like it's so perfect for us.
It's almost like totally, a superfood.
It is. So and you were kind of talking about like nutrient density. That's kind of where like our products I think shine. It's like you want to have. Yeah, you don't want to eat empty calories. Like if you're eating, you might as well eat for nutrition. And like I think a responsibility or like a goal of a company like ours is to make you eat nutrient-rich foods that taste good, right? Because if they're just nutrient-rich, like you might not eat them, or you might get tired of them, or you might find something that's a little bit less quality that has a better flavor, and then all of a sudden we like we failed, right? So like that's a big part for us, is to make stuff taste really good, and the nutrient dense is just like, that's like our that's like our standard. It has to be nutrient rich, and then the flavor stuff is all separate because it's not as important as quality, but of course we strive to be.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Green Kingdom product,
amazing, yeah.
which is like 19 grams of plant protein. And then you have some of the most nutrient concentrated foods in there that we have on the planet. Kale, Indian moringa, which I think a lot of people haven't heard of that, but it's just such an awesome food. And then spirulina, which all of these are important because especially people having thyroid problems, you want to keep your thyroid healthy. And by getting like iodine from sea vegetables, that's really the way to go. Mm-hmm. And, there's 19 grams of plant protein in a serving of this, plus you're getting all your greens. I mean, that to me is like a perfect deal right there.
Yeah, the Green Kingdom is amazing. And it's like, I've tried a bunch of greens powders, just like pure greens powders. I really think that this is the best tasting greens powder, and it, like you said, has the fats, it has the protein. It has the greens, it has superfoods, it has fiber. I mean, it's just kind of like, I wouldn't call it a complete meal, but I mean, in terms of like a boost of protein or your greens, I think it just really doesn't get better. I mean, I don't even know how we were to improve it if we wanted to try.
And then the chocolate maca, because people don't realize, I was actually, I saw it was in a medical like newsletter kind of thing, and it said that chocolate was healthy. And I actually called up the doctor. I was working at Public Health, and no one had ever said anything like this before. And I called the doctor up from the newsletter. I'm like, do you realize how big this is? It's like, chocolate is healthy, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
they figured all the antioxidants were in there. We're sitting on the story of the century. It's like, we got a green light to eat chocolate, everybody. And so I knew, and sure, of course, it's like now it's like huge. I knew that was like the first inkling of a study that I saw in that newsletter, and I knew that was huge. But but you have the most perfect form if you want those antioxidants. You have the raw cacao. And then I just read today about cinnamon. You were talking about cinnamon earlier, and cinnamon is one of the ingredients in the chocolate maca. And I was reading today that cinnamon is actually good for diabetics.
Right. Yeah, it helps regulate blood sugar.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a perfect. It's like the synergy between the ingredients is also pretty intentional.
Explain to people what that is when you have a synergy between ingredients, because that's so important.
Yeah, well,
that's kind of like the orange or the carrot, but it can go past that when you're combining
it's just kind of like how ingredients can like work together. So like I'll use chocolate maca as an example. So cacao, raw cacao, I think specifically high in antioxidants, magnesium. It's really good for it's good to help increase stamina, endurance, right? It gives you energy. The same thing with maca, which we use in the chocolate maca as well. So like those two ingredients work really well together because they kind of you get the benefit of stamina and endurance from both of them, right? So that kind of it's really good for energy, right? Together. And then on top of that, we use the cinnamon. That helps regulate blood sugar. It kind of stabilizes it. So it's like whenever we go in one direction, we kind of help balance it out a little bit with another ingredient. And I think that's kind of where the synergy comes into play. It's like you don't want to go like all one direction. You need to be balanced. And I think synergy is really mostly about balance. And then we use coconut crystals, which is low glycemic. So just the combination of if there's any sugar that we do here, we kind of counter it with the cinnamon. And the same thing the red banana powder. It is a little, it does have natural sugar. It is a fruit, but it's high in potassium. So again, we're kind of balancing everything out a little bit. And then and of course protein. I think protein is so essential. I think probably.
And again, 19 grams of complete protein in the chocolate maca as well.
And it's one of these things too where we're not like these big believers like that you need to have 150% of your protein every day, like you have to drink protein powder every single day, like all the time. Like it just depends on your needs. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, like maybe you need a little bit more. If you're eating meat, all of our products are plant-based, but if you are eating meat, maybe you don't need to supplement with protein all the time, unless you're doing physical activity or you're working out, or you're looking to gain muscle, whatever it is. So I think you have to kind of watch. It's very individual. Somebody asks like, how much should I take? It's really hard for me to say. It just really depends on your lifestyle.
I know that's the big Gatorade lie. It's like, oh yeah, we're all out there extreme exercise for 2 hours and need to replace those electrolytes. It's like, no. Oh, there's a small percentage of people that actually need that. But also this one has two, I call them like the sexy new ingredients, because of course the chocolate, we know that makes you feel good. And the maca is also kind of a sexy ingredient because it can help your hormones. I know that they have different macas that are supposed to help your hormones as you're getting older. So
each serving of our chocolate maca is 1,000 milligrams of maca. So it's an efficacious dose. I mean, and that's kind of like we really stay away from things like label candy, and you might hear that a lot. You definitely see it. Like when I look at ingredient lists, I just
that's
know
a new
right
term
away.
for me, label candy. Woo! I'm going to use that one.
Yeah, I mean, people will just put stuff on a label just so that they can kind of say like, oh, we have this. But if you look at the, like you'll see something and it's like 50 milligrams, and then if, I don't know what people think that is, but when you measure it out, it's a very small amount. So I don't know, unless it's like extract and it's concentrated, I think it's there just to be on the label. And that's not really our MO. Like we're pretty transparent, we're pretty honest. Like we want to show like this is exactly what's in our product. We even put all of our ingredients right on the front. Like you don't even have to turn the package over to see. And I think that's important, because there's a lot of products on the market.
Speaking of ingredients, because we have like 9 minutes left, and I want to get to your other things like the sprout powders. Mm-hmm. Explain to people what it means when you have a sprout powder, because I'm seeing broccoli, kale, red clover, daikon, radish, and then you're going to explain to us what the gather. Obviously, it's something with omega-3s in it that's a vegan source. So,
right.
Go ahead and explain to us how you create these sprout powders.
Sure. Yeah. So this is actually this is like one of our very first lines, and that's kind of like in line with Sprout Living. So we understand that when you go to a store and you buy like say broccoli sprouts or sunflower sprouts, like that is probably some of the most nutritious food that you can get. The only problem is when you buy it in the store, by the time you take it home, it's already been on the shelf for a few days. You probably don't eat it right away. It's really hard to tell if it's like moldy or if it's gone bad, and it starts to lose nutrition really quickly. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to still kind of keep that power that you get from sprouts, but we needed to figure out a way to make it shelf stable. So what we've done is we've actually taken those sprouts and we've done a freeze drying process, which is like it's a low temperature process to basically, it removes moisture from the product. Once you remove moisture, you increase shelf life, and it just creates a very stable product. So we take broccoli seeds and kale seeds, we sprout them depending on the seed. It varies between 24 probably to 48 to 72 hours. And then at that point, we instantly put them in the freeze drying machine. And then after about 10, 12 hours, the product is dried, then it's milled into a powder. So what it is it's like you were to buy this in this, like buy one of those little tins or plastic containers with the sprouts, except now it's in a shelf-stable form that you can sprinkle on.
And super convenient because you can't always keep fresh kale in your drawer, for your smoothies every single day.
Right. Yeah. It's and also like this is certified organic, so that's not all sprouts in the stores are. And then beyond that, like these are combinations that you don't normally find. Like it's pretty rare to find red clover sprouts or daikon radish sprouts or kale sprouts
that are like
so that's
dry
kind of
powder.
the other thing. Right. Yeah. So like the mixes are pretty unique that you don't commonly find, and everything is tested. That's the thing. Like when you're buying it off the store, micros, pathogens, It's hard to say. For us, because the way the product is made, it has to go through all that testing before it's shipped. So you can feel confident that it's safe to consume, and then it is extremely nutrient rich.
Okay, and then because omegas are really hard thing to get, especially, well, you can get them from nuts and that kind of thing if you're a vegan.
Yeah, seeds.
But
Right.
You have another option because sometimes you don't eat the omega food. You don't get it in during the day. And I was just talking about omegas a couple weeks ago and how critical they are for especially our brain. And when you don't get an omega-3, your body will put a lower quality fat in that slot that's supposed to actually be an omega-3, which can interfere with your brain thinking at lightning speed, if that's what you want, and that's what I want.
As long as you already have that.
What is Gather and what is how does it have omega-3s in it?
So we use the seeds we use are like natural sources of omega fatty acids. So we use flax, chia, pumpkin, and sesame, and so we do a similar process. We sprout, there's a big benefit to sprouting, and it basically.
Does it unlock nutrients or make them more available?
Yeah, it makes them more available. It actually it increases nutrition too. So which is the crazy thing. Like just going through the sprouting process, it actually increases vitamins and minerals, proteins. There's enzymatic activity.
Is it easier to digest for people that maybe?
Yeah, and that's probably that is probably the most important thing, is that it is easier to digest. You can find in the store now a bunch of sprouted grain and sprouted grain and all different kinds of bread, and I think that's a big deal. And so essentially that's what these are. These are these sprouts, except that's in a powder form.
Well, and then the other product that I first saw, they were talking about on Bevmo, was the coconut water powder, and it's organic coconut water powder. And because lugging, all these containers of coconut water, it uses a lot of packaging. It's not convenient, and like you were saying that you just add water. So these are the kind of products that you could put the powders in your bottle and just bring that with you, and then just add water later on, and there's your drink, and it's you don't have to refrigerate it or anything.
Yeah, this coconut water it still amazes me every time I mix it for myself. It tastes it doesn't taste like it is exactly coconut water. So if you mix it to the ratio that we have, which is just 1 scoop, 8 ounces of water, it tastes exactly like coconut water. It is organic. And it is much cheaper than buying it in the Tetra packs or the bottles.
Because you're paying for all that packaging.
Right, and for water basically. I mean, we're taking the water out and then you're adding it back in, and so there's so much savings in the shipping, and it's completely it's additive free. So it's just 100% coconut water. That's all it is.
I want to get that product for sure, because we're drinking a lot of coconut water at our house, and that is just so much more convenient. I love it. I love all your products. I think you guys are fantastic. From a dietetic point of view, to a dietitian, these are the kind of products I would recommend. It made me mad in the hospital when I remember them talking about the Ensure, and they had another Ensure product that had omega-3s, and the patients were doing better, but they didn't want to give all the patients that product. And your products have these things in them naturally, because you're using the whole food product, not isolates, not from sources that I would never recommend. So I just want to congratulate you on doing such a great job. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Expo West. That's at Anaheim, March 3rd through 9th, everybody. I think is it 5th through the 9th? 5th through the 9th, I think, is when it is, over at the Anaheim Convention Center. For businesses out there that want to offer more organic products, please come to the show. All right, and thank you so much, Mark. This is really great. This is really great. Living, and it's sproutliving.com, everybody. Sproutliving.com. Go check it out. And tune in again next Tuesday, 4 o'clock. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, Elaine.